Chapter 3, Recording 1, Haton. Friday, November 23rd, 1990, 8:28 a.m., Year 4, Day 99. Haton present to speak, I come in total service unto God, the creation, and unto you, my brothers. May understanding be sharpened, that comprehension come quickly, and our work accomplished. In the light shall we stand strong, that the darkness may be removed from this wondrous but weary land. Destiny in your hands. Earth brother, for the present, the destiny of life stream and the placement of your experience rests with full weight upon your own shoulders. However, should a time arise where an aberration or probable cataclysmic comes in imminent, irreversible track that would affect the depths of cosmic space beyond the conscious thoughts of the earth human, it shall be that involvement from the advanced brotherhood will be activated. Those humans present upon your planet who are willing and or have turned unto God and the creation laws shall be evacuated, as such occurrence for most of you are our ground crew, and will come rapidly into the remembering thereof. God would never, never leave his focused children without assistance and instruction. Communication. Over and over you ones ask why, this or that. Most especially, why do you speak only through a translator? Why not speak directly to us in the first person? Because you are not attuned to hear. One's anger at us for not giving forth the frequency for radio contact of this scribe, for instance. We have no objection to giving forth the frequency, and you can tune it in on your wave bands. But what do you expect to hear? Do you expect to hear David Brinkley giving forth the dissertations regarding cosmic and earth current events? We send to specific receivers who are placed at the most particularly chosen locations, at critically located crystal formations. There is nothing mystical about the procedure of actual communication, for the patterns are put forth in frequency pulses on specific wave frequencies, which are not necessarily closed circuits. But herein, the problem arises in such circumstances as in present with scribes. Their purpose is to put to print the information as given. We give it in projected format of universal codes. The receiver receives the signals, which are then translated by the individual into language native to the receiver. I would not, for instance, have Dharma, who only converses in English, receive Germanic dialects. Why would we do that when we can utilize a German-speaking native to receive in German language? We broadcast in what you could refer to as vision sequence and code pulses, which are instantly translated by the receiver. If you tuned into the exact frequency utilized for, say, Dharma, you could pick up high-pitched shrill, most disagreeable electronic tones, which would be annoying instead of informative. There will also be what you call static from interference, which a receiver is capable of disregarding. And we do not work in great secrecy or mystical hoopla. It is simply that the receivers are trained to handle the apparatus, so to speak. The higher energies are, of course, capable of communicating with any and all. But space brothers do not, and the receiver must be acceptable to communication. It has nothing to do with capability, but everything to do with free will, action, and privacy. Pleiadians, since this is the racing topic, do not penetrate thoughts unless invited to do so. More of you Earth request that communication that you might be aware of at your level of consciousness. And even though the use of invisible modes of contact are available for usage, the presumption of interference is forbidden. To do so would be to violate two highly regarded principles, privacy and free will, put as simplicity as possible. Now, both are considered most important to the development of an individual or society, and terrestrial man must be allowed to make conscious decisions and then learn to be responsible for that which he creates. Thought transmission is the purest form of communication, as the conversation may not be manipulated into something it is not. Changes in intent and content are manifest through the translation into languages. This is why, as we move into the realm of need of absolute understanding while reducing error projection through language, this local group of Earth humans sit together and physically read the documents and hear the portions read aloud, whereby we can clarify, repunctuate, and attend misinterpretations to the best of group contemplation. I personally attend every word and witness whether or not the understanding is penetrating the understanding faculties of the individuals. It makes for very long hours of intense attention. Please accept that we are projecting as clearly as loud and is possible. Our full intent is to allow total truth. But remember, dear ones, we come in service with infallible species and are restricted to alien language and alien identification of more technical and scientific materials. For instance, there will be less than 1 in a million who would even begin to understand projections of mathematical configurations and grid harmonics, and therefore we do not outlay such material which would simply bore the masses into deeper sleep. How many of you even care to look at the surface and cross-sectional areas of the Earth in terms of nautical miles or minutes of arc, and consider the values in regard to distance on the surface to see the interesting facts which emerge? Well, let's see. The cross-sectional area is equal to 37,127,665.09 square nautical miles. The harmonic reciprocal of this number is 26934093. The surface area is equal to 1,485,10660.36 square nautical miles. Now, each quarter of the Earth's surface is therefore equal to 371,27665.09 square nautical miles. Now, the harmonic reciprocal, again, being 26934093. Now, how many of you simply fell in love with the foregoing? I thought not. We will enclose some of the information, for we will be bringing keys to unlocking information cells for certain ones, but it will mean nothing to the receiver nor to most readers in the general populace. Believe me, chelas, to expect proof from cosmic brothers on the basis of technical knowledge or holographic projection simply is unrealistic in suggestion, for it means naught to man unless he is in understanding of that which he is receiving. We are bringing truth unto the masses in these journals. That means more than 6 billion individuals. Technical information shall come forth in other formats unto ones with understanding, and I assure you, the book sales of such volumes is quite limited indeed. Harmony in the Stars. I have written some of the information which will be given herein in past journals, but it is so pertinent to the subject of Pleiades that I must give it forth again. I shall endeavor to not be boring or repetitious to the point of losing you completely. You must begin to know your historical roots, however. Hermes, listen to your inner selves and look into the infinity of space and time. There reverberate the song of the stars and the harmony of the spheres. Each sun is a thought of creation, each planet a mode of that thought. In order that you may know divine thought, O souls, you painfully descend along the paths of the 7 planets and their 7 heavens, and ascend once again. So what do the stars do? And what do the numbers say? What do the spheres revolve? O souls that are lost and saved, they relate, they sing, they revolve your destinies. Pleiades. Now, most commonly, the Pleiades are today referred to by their Greek name, Pleiades. These sons carry names from all areas of your history. The Romans called them the Virgins of Spring. The Australians labeled them the Young Girls, and many civilizations noted them as Falme, typical of the god Agni, who represents the source of fire. And the Bible refers to them as the 7 stars, or simply as the Pleiades. At this time of your cycle, ending in November and the hours near the changing of your day, the Pleiades will be almost directly overhead in perception. The golden radiant star perceived just beneath the constellation as seen from Earth's sphere is the starship Phoenix. Salut. The Greeks refer to the cluster of stars that have guided people far removed from each other in agriculture and commercial affairs simply by rising and setting as the 7 sisters. These are honored in the court of the Caryatids, as pronounced in English. In the stone remains of the Acropolis, their brilliance and twinkling communication has been the source of wishful admiration and critical observation on every continent, in every age of man. They have been worshipped by some, celebrated by others, and recognized for their wondrous beauty and sweet influence by almost all. Why? Because they call to you as a whisper from home and homeland. Job 38:31. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion? Pleiades, the 7 sisters, are located in the constellation of Taurus, the bull. Clearly visible in the northern hemisphere on winter nights, they resemble a tiny reproduction of the Little Dipper, and are often called such actually in Greek. They are often referred to as the Micro Dipper. These are the ones most carefully studied regions of the firmament. Man of Earth is drawn to them, as if to a magnet, by iron shavings. Well, these wondrous orbs have enraptured minds for centuries of your counting, and we give honor to your 18th century comet hunter, Charles Messier, who was first to chart and identify them. The primitive equipment of the day often allowed amateur astronomers to mistakenly label stationary objects as comets, so to assist his fellow celestial watchers. Messier worked diligently from his observation atop the Hotel de Cluny in Paris, France. In 1771, he published his first catalog of some 45 non-cometary objects, and it was in this register that the Pleiades were designated the label of M45. Now, for you ones who keep up with such happenings, the alien recently taken by your CIA in Virginia comes from the system designated as M31. Now, these are simply designations by Earthman to more easily place the heavens into a grid system, and many astronomers have charted many suns in the area of M45. There are several thousands in this tiny sector, of which some 250 are recognized as members of this galactic cluster. The rest lie in the depths of space beyond the system. Now, once all of the more faintly visible stars have been examined, the total shall be far greater, closer to some chase. Once all of the more faintly visible stars have been examined, the total shall be far greater, closer to some 500,000. Now, this celestial group is easily tracked by first locating the giant red star, which is visible beyond starship, known as Betelgeuse, which appears in the Orion constellation as the shoulder of the Great Hunter. Next, finding Aldebaran, a first magnitude star in Taurus, draw a line between the two. Extend the line in a northwest direction, almost an equal distance past Aldebaran. Here it will terminate just south of the beautiful 7 Sisters. Now, this is an attempt to visualize from Earth perspective, but will be accurate enough in description in your language to allow identification herein to the publishers. Place a copy of the diagram as described, please. This tightly grouped cluster of suns is in your own galaxy, and 6 of the 7 are discernible by the unaided eye. Alcyon is the brightest. It has a magnitude of 2.9 and is classified as a B5. Blue White Star, whose primary element is helium, with an approximate temperature of some 13,000 degrees centigrade. The magnitude of these luminous orbs range from the meek twinkling at Sterope, Asterope, which is also blue-white, but is what is labeled B8, with an apparent magnitude of 5.9, to the brilliance of Alcyon, which is thought by some to exceed your sun's refulgence 1,000 times or more. As difficult as it may be for your minds to fathom, this light which you categorize and classify and gaze into the heavens to search out has been traveling toward you for 1.5 centuries before you of earth perceived it. I am herein efforting to speak in earth perception, for it is sufficient for our purposes of becoming acquainted. Historical documentations. It is not accidental that the predominantly recorded system is Pleiades cave paintings, hieroglyphics, legends, mythology, and written languages have depicted these shimmering beams as a positive force through civilization's history. Now, their position in the expanse of darkened heavens throughout the key times in the calendar year does not fully account for the remarkable influence attributed to them. Pope. 4c. The gathering flocks to shelter tend, and from the Pleiades fruitful showers descend. Manuter. When the constellations were first designed, the Pleiades rose helically at the beginning of April, and were the sign of the return of spring. The beauty and peaceful connotations of these mysterious wonders are referred to in text, both past and present, as the 7 stars. Yet one of them is not visually seen. Almost a universal tradition therefore suggests that one of them has been misplaced or is hidden, and was so deemed the lost Pleiad by the Greeks. Now, for some proof of purchase, how would a missing star be classified and spoken of, and far later in historical documentation be proven, if there was not ancient attachment? And how can you relate to something unknown? Therefore, it follows that it had to have been proven and known at some time historically. And it seems quite amazing that all cultures of antiquity were aware of the 7th star, which is masked from the view of the inhabitants of Earth. Could it be that the future is only the past again, entered through a different gate of perception? The repeated acknowledgement will be fully understood and explained as the jigsaw puzzle is assembled. For now, most of the pieces are still a bit scattered, and some are still missing completely. There is little room for doubting, however, that since the dawn of your recorded time, these stars have been a most powerful influence, and are believed upon your place to be a powerful influence and to hold at least a portion of the responsibility for molding the destiny of humanity. Throughout the time, thousands of cultures, religions, and beliefs have been introduced to this delicate planet you call home in this present experience. And many of these ideals and ideas conflict or contradict one another, and existing in every single one is a positive-negative flow of information. However, in all of the societies and civilizations that have been researched for this connection, one topic remains alluded to as a consistent enlightening force. Found in the earliest texts and legends, it is the mystifying clusters of suns called Pleiades. You will find that tracking the source of verbal legend is most difficult, if not impossible, until the oral tradition and teachings are brought forth and unfolded, as we will now be doing here and through the Lakota brother Little Crow of the Lakota Sioux in permission and commission from Wakan Tonkin, Tunkoshila, grandfather, here at the closing of the sacred cycle. In proper sequence of information projection with the journals, the sacred hill within will come forth as confirmation of this truth within the journals as a gift unto man from Creator, creation, that you might know your source and your roots. Shocker. Now you can find truth in the hereditary conversations from most unrelated areas of your world which correctly reflect upon the Pleiades as the center of the universe, the seat of immortality, and the home of God. Intangible as these sources might be, it is only circumstantial that these legacies left a definite mark in diverse civilizations. Well, let us move beyond the circumstantial and into correlations exhibiting evidence of massive contact with Pleiadian cosmonauts somewhere in your past, little brethren. Well, let us peer into our history. The Hopi named them Chuhokan, meaning those who cling together, and they too consider themselves direct descendants of the inhabitants of the cluster. The Hopi, as well as the Navajo and other cultures dispersed around the world, used a calendar that allowed them to chart the seasons, special events, and ceremonial rites with uncanny accuracy. They used a system based on a 260-day sacred round or minor cycle, and a 365-day year, a major cycle, which equaled a period between the midnight culminations of the Pleiades. Any day calculated on these cycles would not repeat itself for 18,980 days, or 52 years. Now in the Kiva of the Mesas, sacred temple of the Mesas, the Hopi ceremoniously light the new fire. Now this occurs every 52 years when the temple's sacred points align with the stars Chuhokan. All fires are extinguished throughout the nation and rekindled from a sacred fire produced by the holy men. The young men of the tribe learn the importance of the Pleiades early in life, for initiation into the spiritual ways takes place only when the cherished cluster is directly overhead at night. So you see, this is the most powerful time of the annual cycle. The Dakota Ihani stories, which are tales of the world previous to the Codex emergence, speak of the Tayamni, the home of their ancestors, and the reason for the 7 tribes, the Pleiades. The 7 sisters play a major role in their history as well as in their present-day culture. In May, the month of Hanblaseya, I believe I translated correctly as Vision Quest, the Dakota communicate with the spirits. Astronomy tells you that the Pleiades rise with the sun in May, and the Dakota oral history tells you that the home of the spirits is the Pleiades. The older Dakotas say that when you die, your spirit goes to the Milky Way and turns south to the 7 stars. The Navajo named the sparkling suns the Dilyehe, home of the black god, and the Osage believe their society was once pure of spirit and journeyed from the stars to earth. The Iroquois believe that twinkling orbs represent 7 young people who guard the holy seed throughout the night. Prayers for happiness were addressed unto them, and during ceremonial rites, the calumet was symbolically presented to them. After all, these stars were the home of their ancestors. There is a lovely legend among the Native Americans as exemplified in a tale from the Onondaga. A long time ago, a party of hunters journeyed through the woods in search of a good hunting ground, and having found one, they proceeded to build their lodges for the winter, while the children gathered to dance and sing. While the children were thus engaged, an old man dressed in white feathers, whose flowing hair shone like silver, appeared among them, and bid them cease dancing lest a mysterious force befall them. But the children danced on, unmindful of the warning, and presently they observed that they were rising little by little into the air. One of them exclaimed, "Do not look back, for something strange is taking place." And one of the children disobeyed this warning, and looking back, became a falling star. 6 other children reached the high heavens safely, and can now be seen dancing in the Pleiades. The stars they became. The Hohokam, a Pima word meaning that which has vanished, disappeared from the arid Arizona desert they have so successfully irrigated and tamed. Although no one knows why they vanished or where they went, legend claims they returned to their home in the stars. Now the Creeks claim to have come to earth from the stars in spirit form to become flesh and blood. And each year a medicine man who has served the apprenticeship of 7 years performs the green corn dance, where he takes 7 ears of corn from 7 fields of the 7 clans to ensure a healthy harvest. The intent is to bring forth the sacred hill within, in 7 volumes in length for reading in one sitting appropriate per each revealing. Now these wondrous connections could go on for volumes of material, each attached and coming from all directions on your planet. Australian Aborigines, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, and on and on. But the document would become unwieldy, and I would like to focus on that which is better recognized and known today. I would, however, like to give you one more illustration of the connections and point out the diversity of geographic location for original belief traditions. Huangti, the Yellow Emperor of China, 2697 through 2587 BC, is considered by many Taoists to be a miraculous being who succeeded in attaining immortality. And during his reign, utensils of wood, clay, pottery, and metal were manufactured. Boats and carts were constructed and utilized, and the medium of currency was originated. Provinces of the vast country were mapped. Acupressure and acupuncture became sciences, and the emperor is generally acknowledged as the father of holistic medicine. Huang Ti claimed that much of his rapid development began because of the conversations held in court with his consultants, beings from the Pleiades. Now I would like to herein point out that in 1975 AD on your planet, contacts from Pleiadian persons began in regular sequence. The original thrust was in Switzerland, which was a non-warring country, neutral in politic arenas and open mind. There have been photographs and materials for scientific study, etc., left for you to examine. These have caused great pain and suffering for the contacts. Work has been discounted and disinformation thrust upon a deceived public. We herein intend to repeat the information, and again, man can do that which he will with it. I would, however, stress the suggestion that you consider this information most carefully indeed. And you as a species locked to the planet Earth had better come to grips with your circumstance and look beyond the lies thrust upon you by your controllers. You are in the time of Kali, chaos. And if you look into your prophecies, you will find this very nearly closing time of the cycles. And when that loop closes, it will be a hot time in the old town tonight. Separation impossible. As you come into understanding of beginnings, you will desire to argue and denounce connections with star beings and etheric angelic beings. So be it. You can desire all you wish. It will not change truth. You are descendants of that which was referred to as the ones from the skies, who could fly in many and varied manners. You are what was been referred to as the clan of the winged ones, or more generally put, the bird tribes. Is it not time to preen your flight feathers? Salut. Hat on to stand by as we close this segment. Thank you for your service. Salam.